The U.S. Supreme Court rejected an appeal from conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. The conservative commentator was trying to dodge a $1.4 billion payout to the families of the victims killed in the 2012 shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Jones repeatedly claimed the mass shooting that killed 20 first graders and 6 teachers in Connecticut was a hoax staged by crisis actors. The family sued for defamation and emotional distress. He has since acknowledged that the shooting did happen. Jones filed for bankruptcy in 2012 and remains in bankruptcy. His lawyers say the plaintiffs are unlikely to collect the entire amount. Up to this point, Jones's appeals have prevented any payments to the families. In recent weeks, those families have moved for Jones to sell assets owned by his company, Free Speech Systems. Jones has previously said that his website, InfoWars, could be sold off to The Onion, a satirical news site.
And this judge is a tyrant. This judge is ordering me to say that I'm guilty and to say that I'm a liar. None of that's true. I was not wrong about Sandy Hook on purpose.
Was Alex Jones telling the truth? Or was he just a man who turned the pain of innocent children into profit? Stay with us till the end, because we'll show you where it all began and where it finally ended. It begins in a quiet town, Newtown, Connecticut, where laughter turned to screams in an instant. December 14th, 2012, the morning when horror walked into a school and plunged all of America into darkness. Sandy Hook Elementary School is located in the small town of Newtown, Connecticut. The school is part of the Newtown public school system and accepts students from kindergarten to grade 4. 20-year-old Adam Peter Lanza was a Newtown resident and resided in the Sandy Hook village. At 36 Yogananda Street, Mr. Lanza was mentally ill and had previously been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. He was described as a loner and was known to engage in disturbing behavior. This included playing violent video games, researching reports of past mass shootings, and viewing graphic images on the internet. Sometime before 9:00 a.m., on the morning of December 14, 2012, Adam Lanza brutally murdered his mother while she was asleep in her bedroom. She had been shot 4 times in the head with a .22 caliber rifle. After the murder, Lanza armed himself with several firearms and hopped into his mother's vehicle. He then drove south on Yogananda Street and was last seen heading north on Bresson Farm Road at approximately 9:08 a.m. Mr. Lanza pulled into the lot of Sandy Hook Elementary, located at 12 Dickinson Drive. He then proceeded to breach the entrance by firing several rounds into the glass panels. Upon hearing the gunshots, Principal Dawn Hawksprung, school psychologist Mary Sherlock, and lead teacher Natalie Hammond stepped into the hallway to investigate. The women froze in their tracks as they stumbled upon a chilling sight. Standing in the hall was a creepy-looking man. Dressed in dark clothes and sunglasses, he also wore black gloves and a hat, and was armed with an assault rifle. It was at this moment the 3 women realized the grave danger they were in. A look of horror flashed across their faces. As they stood across from Mr. Lanza, they instinctively alerted their nearby colleagues to stay put, as a shooter had now entered their school. Lanza then shot the 3 women, killing both Sherlock and Hawksprung. Hammond survived her injuries and was able to crawl to a conference room and keep the door closed. A 4th staff member was also struck by a bullet while attempting to close a door. Fortunately, her wounds were not fatal, and the gunman never entered her classroom. At around the same time, Newtown police were alerted about the shooting, and officers were dispatched to the scene. Mr. Lanza then moved further down the hall. In search of more victims, his first target was room number 8. Located near the school's entrance. This first grade class was taught by Lauren Russo and substitute teacher Rachel Davino. Upon hearing the gunshots in the hall, the 2 teachers rushed their 16 students into an adjoining bathroom. In the back of the class during this process, Mr. Lanza forced his way inside and began opening fire on multiple occupants, resulting in numerous fatalities. In the end, Russo, Davino, and 15 of their students were killed. 14 of the victims died on scene, while the 15th victim died at the hospital. The lone survivor was a 6-year-old female who hid in the corner of the bathroom and played dead. She would come out unscathed. The vicious assault inevitably left behind an extremely graphic crime scene. According to officers, most of the students and their 2 teachers were found crammed together in the bathroom. Their tiny bodies were left riddled with bullet holes, and the ground was soaked with a large volume of blood. After brutally murdering several children in room 8, Mr. Lanza reloaded his weapon and stepped back into the hall. Just a few feet away in room 10, Victoria Soto and her colleague were aware of the imminent danger and frantically instructed their children to hide. As Soto attempted to lock the door, Mr. Lanza burst into the room and a confrontation ensued. According to a report, Soto told Lanza her students were in the auditorium and that the classroom was empty. This tactic apparently didn't work, as several children came out of hiding and were subsequently shot. Another report claims the children were hiding in plain sight when they were shot and that no words were exchanged between the occupants. And the gunman, what we do know for certain, is that Soto and her colleague, Ann Murphy, were shot and killed along with 5 of her students. 9 other students were able to escape. Presumably when the gunman, Lanza stopped to reload. An analysis of the crime scene suggested Soto and Murphy shielded their students from the gunfire, which ultimately cost them their lives. The heroic act would sadly be futile, as the shielded students were ultimately killed. At 9:02 a.m., only 5 minutes after the massacre first began, Mr. Lanza committed suicide. At 9:00 a.m., officers entered the school and confirmed the shooter was no longer a threat. They disarmed and detained the deceased shooter, as per protocol, before proceeding to clear out the building and tend to survivors. While searching the building, police discovered 27 deceased occupants, including the shooter. Among the victims were 20 students and 6 staff members. 2 other adults were also wounded. In addition, a large quantity of unused ammunition was recovered inside the school, along with 3 semi-automatic firearms found with the gunman. This included a .223 caliber Bushmaster rifle, a 10mm Glock 20 handgun, and a 9mm Sig Sauer P226. Outside the school, an Ishmash Saiga 12 shotgun was found in the gunman's vehicle. Later that evening at approximately 7:30 p.m., detectives searched the home of the gunman at 36 Yogananda Street. Inside, police discovered a hard drive belonging to the gunman, which had been visibly damaged. Attempts to recover the data proved unsuccessful. Detectives also discovered a second hard drive belonging to the shooter. It contained several videos related to mass shootings and suicide by gunshot. In the days following the massacre at Sandy Hook, the gunman's body was taken to a local medical examiner's office. A toxicology report showed no alcohol or drugs in his system, and an autopsy uncovered no tumors or gross deformities in his brain. Back at Sandy Hook Elementary School, the interior setting was utterly horrific. What was once a place full of happy children and nurturing teachers was now a gruesome crime scene. The walls were riddled with bullet holes, and the floors were stained with blood. Forensic photographers were faced with the difficult task of photographing the deceased victims, most of whom were just 6 and 7 years of age. Bright and smiling children and teachers were now mutilated corpses. A medical examiner who conducted some of the victim autopsies said the injuries sustained were devastating. Parents were forced to identify their deceased children through photographs in order to spare themselves. The intense shock and grief in the days that followed, the nation would come to learn more about the shooter and his troubled background, but no explanation could ever justify the horror of what had occurred. Adam Lanza, it was revealed, had been suffering from mental health issues for years, but the why, the motivation behind such an unspeakable act, remained elusive as investigators scoured Lanza's home and personal records. They uncovered a trail of disturbing behavior, yet no one could have predicted that such violence would be unleashed on a community like Newtown, a town that until then had been defined by its quiet, safety, and small-town charm. The tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary sparked a national conversation about gun control, mental health, and school safety.
I know there's not a parent in America who doesn't feel the same overwhelming grief that I do.
Today, Sandy Hook is remembered not only as a place of tragedy, but as a reminder of the fragility of life, the randomness of evil, and the heroism of those who, in the face of horror, tried to protect the most innocent among us. Yet 26 lives were lost in mere minutes. Their memory, a haunting reminder of that dark day, will never be forgotten. It started with one school, one quiet morning in Newtown, Connecticut, and within minutes, 20 children and 6 staff members were gone. Sandy Hook, a name that would haunt America forever. But then came one man, Alex Jones. He called it a hoax. He said those grieving parents were actors. He said it was all a setup, a government plan, and people believed him. Families who had already lost everything were threatened, stalked, and harassed. They couldn't even visit their children's graves in peace. Years later, the truth hit back. In court, it wasn't just about lies. It was about the damage those lies caused. A jury ordered Alex Jones to pay nearly $1.4 billion in damages for spreading false claims and destroying lives.
Right here, he's real, isn't he?
Yes.
And for years, you put a target on his back, didn't you?
Objection to the form of that, Judge.
Well, I mean,
Didn't you?
I've admitted I've said his name. It's true. I haven't said other people's names when they are.
You put a target on his back just like you did every single parent and loved one sitting here, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
He tried to call it free speech. He appealed again and again, but the Supreme Court said no. The judgment stands. The families finally got justice. Now Alex Jones is bankrupt. His assets are being sold off, and every dollar recovered will go to the parents he hurt. But this isn't just about money. It's about the thin line between free speech and accountability, between using your voice and weaponizing it, because what happened after Sandy Hook didn't just scar one town, it cast a shadow over an entire nation, a darkness America will never forget.